Hello and welcome to another World at War 85 Storming the Gap Battle Report. Today we're doing Scenario 19, the Rhine. This action takes place just southwest of Frankfurt. Frankfurt had just fallen and the Soviets were continuing to press from the east. Meanwhile, the East German 7th Panzer approached from the southwest and crossed the Rhine just south of Mainz. The remnants of 5th Corps defenders were all mixed together. They still needed time to get the tail of their column clear of Wiesbaden, so they screened their movements west of Mainz to keep the East Germans from turning and using the bridges to the north. Scenario uses maps 1, 2, and 3, and the objective of the battle is to capture the 4 cities circled in red. It's a sudden death victory condition, so the instant that the Warsaw Pact captures 3 of the objectives, the game is over. The NATO forces in this scenario are as follows. We have Alpha Company 5/8 Infantry, Bravo Company 4th of the 69th Armor, Fox Troop 2nd of the 11th Armored Cav, Bravo 3/8 Infantry. We have 2nd Company of the 61st Panzers, the 1st Company 3rd Battalion 50th Territorial, and finally we get 1st of the 4th 11 ACR. We get some air cav coming in as reinforcements on turn 1. For the Warsaw Pact, we have 1st Battalion 14th Panzer Regiment. We have 1st Battalion 11th Motorized Rifles, 3rd Battalion 45th Guard Tank Regiment, and then the 3rd of the 36th Separate Helicopter Regiment. So my opponent decided he wanted to play NATO this battle, so I'll be the Warsaw Pact. And in developing my plan, looking at NATO, we've played this scenario a couple of times, and it generally comes down to a variation of 1 to 2 strategies. Either the rearward NATO forces move up to the front and they form a line, in this valley here, or the forward NATO units will fall back and join in the back. Now, there's some variations in this typically, but in general, it's going to be one of those 2 strategies or a variation of it. So I don't really know which of the 2 he's going to do. So I don't have to make a final decision until after I see a setup. So let's go ahead and talk about the NATO setup. Here we have Bravo 469th. It's an objective B. It's one of the forward units. It's a company of M60s. Then we have Alpha 5/8. They're a Bradley infantry company with some M901 support. We have Bravo 3/8, which is an M113 infantry company with a platoon of M1s attached and some support weapons. Fox Troop 2nd 11 is an armored cavalry troop, one M1 and 2 cavalry Bradleys, and they have a mortar and a jeep with a tow. 2nd Company 61st Panzer is a very powerful company. It's 3 Leopard 2s, a couple of AA platoons, a couple of anti-tank platoons as a recon. And in the previous games, this company's caused us a lot of trouble. When I was fighting them and when I was using them, they were whooping. The 1st Company 3rd of 50 Territorials is an infantry company with a couple of antiquated anti-tank supports. I got an M48 and some recoilless rifles on a jeep. So looking at his deployment, I can't 100% be sure what he's going to do. The one clue was his Bradley company at forward. The infantry were not dismounted, so I'm thinking he might fall back, but I can't be 100% sure. So my plan is I'm just going to come in. I'm going to put the tanks on the flanks, the infantry in the middle, and I'm just going to come in and form a line across the bottom. Once I determine exactly where things are going to shake out, then I'll refine the plan and move forward from there. So let's looking at the setup. The U.S. gets 3 offboard high explosive, 1 offboard DP-ICM, and 1 offboard MLRS. West Germans get 3 offboard HE and 2 offboard air-delivered mines. A lot of artillery. So we'll get the turn track set up. Oh, another thing is there's all four nationalities are going to get air support sprinkling in throughout the game. So the first turn starts out with all four objectives under NATO control. Let's get it started. This is the largest game that we've played so far. So once again, I'm changing up the card draws a little bit. So the first draw goes to the East Germans. Now the East Germans have a designated formation card that when drawn, the East German player can select either their motorized rifles or their tanks. In this case, selecting the motorized rifles. So in the interest of time, we're gonna, this is a very large scenario and there's a lot of units. So in the interest of time, for the most part, if there's multiple moves with no shooting, I'm going to try to just consolidate it all into one. So the motorized rifles move in as a battalion on the north edge of the map. Next, we get Fox Company or Fox Troop. Their headquarters, he placed his headquarters with the Jeep Tow, and they were set. They didn't do anything. Now we have the Soviet attack helicopters. These guys are going to come in the center of the map on the east, moving nab of the earth. Now we have the East German T-72s. These guys are going to move in on the north edge of the map, kind of has battalions skirting along the north edge there. Now we have the Soviet Heinz again. So once again, helicopters don't have a headquarters. They're always in command. The first Heinz hovers. This pulls up fire from the M60, which was no effect. The Heinz returns fire with his missiles. He disrupts and reduces the M60, and he passes his ammo check. First blood to the Warsaw. The other Heinz hovers as well, but there's nobody can see this. First end operations card. Now we have Alpha 5-8. So his command is with the M2 Bradley. Everybody's in command range. And now we can definitely see that he's going to be falling back. So two of the Bradleys fall back, dismount infantry on the back edge of those woods. So you set up an ambush on those two bridges. This company is devastating in the assault between the Bradleys and the infantry in close terrain. This is a very scary proposition to try to go in and take those bridges. Based on past games, that's a tough setup there. So now we get Bravo 469. So in his command phase, he removed the disruption, headquarters with the M60. So he pulls the M60s back across the bridge. Yeah, so now that I know that he's going to pull back and do the rear defense, I can start firming up my plan. There's advantages and disadvantages to both of the types of defense, and we've kind of seen them both. And knowing now that he's going to defend back there, it's a much tougher nut to crack. But the disadvantages, or one of the disadvantages, is he surrenders the two forward objectives pretty much without a fight. So, like I said, there's some advantages and disadvantages. Second end operations card, ending the turn, and this strands 5 formations. So the guys circled in yellow did not get a chance to move, so they will be guaranteed to move next round. So advance the turn track. All 4 objectives are still NATO controlled. And because it's a big map, we're going to do an overview at the end of each map. I'll start out with icons, and I'll pull the icons away just because there's a lot going on in a lot of different areas. So at the start of turn 2, here's kind of the way everything shakes out. And here they are without any icons over. So we're going to start out with 1st to 4th Air Cav. And these guys come screaming in from the west, nap the earth. Next, we have Bravo 469th. Pretty standard. It's a company. I don't think they're ever out of command. and they're going to move around to the center. Now, if you're wondering why they didn't take the north road, is that Rhine, they couldn't use that road because the Rhine had it under observation. Next, we have Fox 211. Keeps his headquarters there. Those guys are just going to sit tight. Bravo 469 again. Head command phase. And those guys are going to move up to the back side of the hill. We get the Hines again. Always in command. Those guys are going to both switch to nap the earth and move up to the east side of that big hill in the center. First into operations card. The other two are locked because of the stranded headquarters last turn. And then we get the designated formation card, which I will assign to the East German motorized rifles. The headquarters will go with a T-55. And at this point, I'm going to split the battalion up to move them across the bridges. With the idea of plans starting to form here, I think I'm going to assign a company to each of the two tank battalions, leave the company of tanks and the last company with the support weapons to hold the center, and just kind of see how it goes from there. We'll get the Hines again. So easy command phase for them. The first Hind hovers, and then the second Hind does an NOE down just below the hill. And if you're wondering why they just moved that originally, there's a Gepard over there that can outfire these guys when they're nap the earth, and he could see, or the potential is he could move up and hit these guys. So I wanted to make sure that one of them was always able to do opportunity fire to catch that guy if he come up. And we've had him picked off in games before. If you get careless with these Hinds, that Gepard will pick them off. So then we have Alpha 5-8 Infantry. Headquarters stays with the Bradley, and he finishes unloading all those infantry, and that becomes a very tough area to clean out. So now we have the East German T-72s. Headquarters with the T-72. They're nice and tight, so everybody's in command. So we go ahead and take this battalion and bring it across that little northern hill. There's only one hex row that I can get across and not catch out fire, because the NATO can see the forward edge of that hill except for the northern hex. So I'm having to bring these guys over in echelons. Next, we get the territorials. Puts his headquarters with the M48, and then he starts deploying them out. Looks like he's going to run a couple platoons to the northern objective, platoon down to the south, and keep his anti-tank stuff up on the hill. Next, we get the T-80s. These guys come in on the southern edge of the board, nice and tight. Everybody's in command. Next, we get Alpha 5-8 again. Going to move his headquarters back, but those guys are set. They're just going to sit there. Now we get the West Germans, that Panzer Company. So it puts his headquarters with the Jaguar, everybody's in command range. And then he starts dispersing these guys out into cover. Like I said, when you deploy, they had to be within a certain number of hexes. So it looks like the recon's running up to the hills. He's got anti-tank and air defense moving north. And then just to the south, he spreads that Gepard out. And that's the guy I'm really have to keep an eye on that guy, because he'll pick these helicopters off if you go scooting around too much. Then we get Bravo 3-8, and that removes the last of the restrictions on the end operations card, so they both go into the deck. Headquarters goes with the infantry, everybody's in command range. And then he takes those guys and starts dispersing out and forming a line there in the center. End operation, and we go to turn 3. Once again, all 4 objectives are under NATO control. So here's the overview of the map with the icons. Pull the icons away, and as you can see, the The NATO's kind of falling back and forming a line, and then PAC's just getting on the board. Start out this turn with Alpha 5-8. I'm going to apologize here. We actually stopped playing the night before and then continued the next morning. It was a Saturday. And apparently the photographer is not bright enough to have something stand up and get the glare off the board. So you just have to deal with the fact I can't get good help. Into operations. And then Alpha 5-8 again. And once again, we're going to glaringly watch those guys just sit there and not do anything. Next, we get F Troop. So the headquarters goes to the M1. One thing about these guys is both of the Bradleys are recon, so they're going to be ignored for as far as command purposes. So really only worry about that M1 and the Jeep. So it looks like he's going to swap Bradley and the Jeep's going to move those around a little bit. Now we get T-80s. With the NATO headquarters here, I decided to put the headquarters with the ZSU just in case he starts to get froggy, because that ZSU put a hurting on those helicopters as well, even in NOE mode, because they're gun armed A. And the battalion moves up, occupies the southern hill, and getting ready for an attack on objective Bravo. Bravo 469. Easy command phase for them. So these guys move up, and at this point, I think he might be getting froggy because this doesn't look all too defensive to me. And he's got a lot of firepower there. He's got the helicopters, Alpha 5-8, the armor cab. This is a lot of firepower. He might be getting a little aggressive up north. So designated formation, and I'm going to pick the infantry battalion. Put the headquarters with the BMP, and they're all still in command, just barely. Oh, the East Germans have a command range of 5 instead of 4, so that helped a lot with some of this maneuvering. So the one company moves up north to support the T-72s. We've got another company moving south, headed for the T-80s, and then the rest of them are going to move in and start getting deployed around that center hill. Next, we get the U.S. Air Cav. These guys have easy command phases as well. So the air cav, the first guy NOE's up to the hill. This is, once again, this is a very aggressive move. I'm thinking he might be, there may have been a feint. He may have pulled out of that city to draw me in, and then this is a pretty hefty attack. So the T-72 op fires for no effect. And then the second Cobra moves up behind the woods with the next to the infantry. So now we get the Hinds, easy command phase. So the Hinds that was on the bottom of the hill declares a hover, and this draws op fire from the Leopard 2. No effect. And they didn't do anything. They're set where they're at. All right, so now the East German infantry go. The company up north that got sent to support the T-72s failed their command check, which is okay, I guess, because they didn't really have any place they could move anyway. But everybody in the south is still in command. First of all, I unload the mortars and the infantry with the headquarters. The headquarters then calls for indirect smoke from the 2S1. And once the smoke pops out, then we can start scurrying across this little valley here. So I take recon, move it up to the hill. The infantry company that's going to go support the T-80s and one of the T-55 platoons heads a little bit southwest. And our second end operations card, which strands the T-72s, both West Germans, and one of the U.S. infantry companies. Move along to turn 4. All 4 objectives are still NATO. So here's the overview of the board at the start of turn 4 with the icons and without. First draw is a designated formation, which I'll assign to the East German motorized rifles. Once again, the Northern Company is out of command. Here's a spoiler, they're out of command a lot. The Southern Company runs down and captures objective B. And one platoon moves up to the south side of that center hill just to make sure nobody comes in through that way. The reconnaissance unit runs up and calls indirect fire from the mortar, which scatters into the town, less than helpful. And so we call in smoke from the 2S1, which is a little unfortunate because I kind of want to move them, but it is what it is. Now that the northern gap is smoked in, the center can start moving up to occupy the big hill in the middle. And we come to Bravo 469. Headquarters with the M60. And this makes me think that he was planning to get Froggy, and then as soon as we occupy the center, because this is definitely moving from what I would consider to be a little bit more offensive to now this is definitely looking more defensive in the center. Bravo 469 again. Kind of just sits there. I think he's set. And then we go 1st, 4th, Air Cav. These guys are always in command. And he pulls that guy back from the hill. So I'm convinced he was going to get Froggy there, and I think he just kind of changed his mind. But it's all good. So Bravo 38 Infantry. Headquarters with the command, or the M1, everybody's in command. First end operations, the other two are not on the deck. And the West German 2nd Company Panzer goes. Puts his headquarters with the Leopard 2. The reconnaissance unit up top, they're always in command. You have to worry about that. But he failed the command check on the Roland. And he does some shuffling around. The Jabard moves to the north, gets in those woods, and the recon runs up to the hill. Now we get the territorials. Puts the headquarters in with the M48. His Southern Infantry is out of command, but he passed command check, which is fortunate because he moved up and occupied that objective, Charlie. East German motorized rifles. Northern Company's out of command. So now we're going to push more guys up. Finally get to move that artillery that I wanted to move last turn. I move him down, get him closer to the southern attack. And the guys in the center are going to move up and occupy the backside of that big hill. Bravo 38. Headquarters moves over to the infantry, which is interesting. And he pulls the M901s out of the line. I think he's going to shift them. And now we get the T-72s. So the headquarters goes with the T-72, still have everybody in command range. And that's when we pull the shift. So I leave one company up north, and everybody else, including the support weapons, moves to the center behind the big hill, screened off by that smoke screen. Now we get the T-80s. So headquarters with the T-80, getting away from that ZSU. The gap between the village and the woods are still can be outfired, so we got to stay away from there. But so we're going to move up and get ready for that smoke to come up and this get this attack rolling. So we just and another thing is going to spread out. There's a lot of artillery, so don't want to stay stacked up here. So we're going to get spread out, move up, get ready to go. We get Alpha 5-8. Headquarters stays with the Bradley. and the M901 pulls back to that small hill there behind the line. Alpha 58 again, and he sits there, basically resets his off fire for that M901. F troop, headquarters moves it to the M3 Bradley. Everybody's in command range. So now we get the Hines. Those guys are set. And our second end operations ends the turn. So we're moving on to turn 4. The U.S. get a A-10 air support added to the deck. One objective is controlled by the Warsaw Pact. And here is the overview at the start of turn 5 without the icons. Added to the deck, and the first card goes to the territorials. So his headquarters goes in the south with the infantry. Guys way up north fail their command check. And he started shifting people to the south. So the M48s moved down to the south edge of that hill. Next we get Bravo 38. Headquarters goes to the M1. And he moves the M901 that he pulled out of the lineup north, comes down to the center. Now we go to Alpha 58. Headquarters stays with the M2. They're set. Go to Bravo 469. Headquarters of the M60. Fox Troop. Headquarters stays with the M1. I think they're set. Yep. And then we go to the T-72s. So that smoke is up. It's about to get started. So the headquarters goes with the T-72. One of the guys up north failed a command check. First thing we do is call in HE from the 2S1 on the Leopard, which no effect. He then takes a shot at the Leopard for no effect. And then starts a whole bunch of moving fire. So the first guy does a does a moving fire. The Leopard opportunity fires and disrupts and reduces them. Things nasty. But he only fired once, so the next guy comes up, moving fire, no effect. Another guy does a moving fire, no effect. Seeing a pattern here. The last guy does moving fire and actually disrupts the Leopard. And since nobody else get a shot, the other guys that were further in the back just kind of move on over. And the Hines. So now the Hines going to do what they've been there for a while to do. So they're both going to open up. They both fail their ammo roll, but one of them manages to reduce the Leopard. And the Hines go again. So in this command phase, one of them passes his reload check. The other one fails his reload check, which means he has one shot of missiles left. And may as well shoot it. So we shot it at the Leopard. Unfortunately, he missed him, but he's now out of ammo. The other guy, I noticed that, you know what, that Japard can see us. I better start trying to take care of him. So he shoots at the Japard, I don't know how to pronounce it. And then, and he disrupts him and passes his ammo check, which is helpful. Next, we get Alpha 58. They're just going to leave their headquarters where it's at. I think they're set. Our first end operations. And our second end operations. So the smoke finally lifts, we get some fighting going, and the turn ends. So 4 units are stranded. The T-80s, the motorized rifles, the West Germans, Panzer Company, and the air cap. So we'll move to turn 6. Both I get some air support, and the West Germans get some air support. Still only one objective to Warsaw. Overview of the map with the icons and without. So add the air support cards to the deck. And we'll start out with the air cav. So the air cav, no headquarters. The first Cobra declares a hover, which pulls op fire from the SA-9, who failed his ammo check, but he did disrupt the AH-1. The other Cobra fires at the SA-9, killing it and failing his ammo check. And then we go to Fox Troop. Headquarters in one, everybody's in command. They're set. We go to the Hines. So I got one guy out of ammo, and but they're both in command. So the guy with the missiles left fires it at the Japard for no effect, fails his ammo check again. These guys are killing me. The guy without missiles, I figured, you know what? There's not a whole lot he can do back here. I'm just going to risk it. So he flies down to the edge of the board, and to my surprise, he draws op fire from 2 leopards. Now, I was not anticipating this. I'd like to say that I ran him out there as bait. I didn't. I just want to take advantage of the fact that the Japard was disrupted. But either way, it is what it is. So 2 leopards op fire this guy for no effect. And now we're to the T-72s. So the headquarters is going to move up to the closest T-72 because last turn I had to do all those moving fires, but now I can shoot from stationary. So I want to get as close as possible. But and the SA-9s up north failed their command checks. The rest of them are in command. First thing we're going to do is call in the 2S1s for indirect fire HE, no effect. Then we're going to start shooting. Headquarters T-72 with all those extra dice, it's deadly. So they killed that leopard. And then to speed it along, we had basically 5 moving fires to move around to engage that northern leopard. Of the 5 shots, 4 of them were no effect and 1 of them disrupted the leopard. Now we go to the territorials. He puts the headquarters down with the Jeep 106. And pull the first end operations card. I was actually surprised he didn't hit me with artillery. So now we get the T-72s again. That designated formation card is very powerful, by the way. So once again, move the headquarters over to the T-72 stack. Let's get some firepower going. And 3 failed command checks up north. No surprise, fights in the south right now. So the stack of T-72s with the headquarters declares a volley fire, giving them 3, 5, 6 dice, which kills the Leopard 2 and rubbles the Hex. So a lot of hits there, and he didn't roll any saves. So rubbled the City Hex and killed the Leopard. Then call in smoke from the 2S1s. So we can isolate this part of the battlefield. That lets the T-70 start doing moving fires a little closer. So the first guy comes up, kills the Japard. Next guy comes up, kills the Roland. Germans are getting pounded down here. T-72 moves on the hill. The M48 op fires him for no effect. T-72 fires back for no effect. And then just some movement of the guys that didn't shoot. Now we go to the West German or the East German motorized rifles. Put the headquarters in the BMP and I had 2 failed command checks up north, fortunately not in the south. The recon up north calls in indirect fire smoke from the 2S1s. I'm going to rescreen that. And then the company that was supporting the T-72 decided to go ahead and move up. And when he crossed that hill, he pulled op fire from that M901. Fortunately, no effect. In the south, with the Germans shot up, they start pushing forward. So the infantry and Objective Bravo load up, and then all the guys on the hill start pushing forward a little bit. Also, I moved the T-55 back because I'm starting to have command issues, and one of the things I want to do with that T-55 is use it as a centralized point to put my headquarters if I got to move everybody in a hurry. Also, move the mortars up, get them ready, and the other platoon up north across that hill. And now we get the US A-10. So on his way in, he passes interception roll, so he's not intercepted. And I got a lot of air defense that was not ops complete. So the one spot that he could find that I just couldn't shoot at him was this BMP here. So he attacks the BMP. The only thing I really have is is some tanks. So reading the rules, the way I understand it is one unit declares he's a primary AA fire, and then up to 2 additional units can add in. Even still, they're tanks. They're not doing very well. So 3 AA did no effect to the A-10. The A-10, however, disrupted and reduced the BMP. He also disrupted and reduced the passengers, and he passed his ordnance check, which means he's not done. He'll be back. Next air support was the East German Su-22s. So bring him in on the Leopards. He was not intercepted on the way in. And I get op-fired by 2 man pads, the Stinger way up north and the I don't know how Germans pronounce it. I call it red eye. It's some Fliegerfuster or whatever. But those guys all open fire. Now they both fail their command check. I'm sorry, their ammo check, but they disrupt the Su-22, and then when I make the roll, he aborts, so he's basically out of the game. And finally, we get the Alpha Jet. Looks like all the air decided to come in at the same time. He comes in the same spot the A-10. All I've got left over there is a couple of tanks to AM, no effect. And he finishes that guy off. He kills the BMP and he kills the passenger. Also passes his ordnance check, so he too will be back. Now we go to Bravo 38. Headquarters with the M1. He takes the M1, comes down south. Bravo 469. Headquarters of the M60. These guys also seeing the hole blown through the. We were both kind of surprised at how fast it killed those leopards. So we both had a lot of trouble with them when we were fighting against them in earlier games. So the M60s start moving south to help plug that hole. Bravo 469 again. M60s all in command. And he starts getting in the, I guess he's going to cover the center with those guys. And now the German Panzer Company gets to go. So I saw him struggle with this decision because he wanted to get the Leopard out of there, but the Leopard couldn't see anything to call artillery. And since his artillery is off board, it has to happen before he moves. So he placed the headquarters with the Jaguar, thinking it'll let me call the artillery, and then he needs 7 on 2 dice to get the Leopards, and of course he failed the command roll for the Leopards. So calls off-board indirect fire on the infantry on the hill with the recon. He disrupted and reduced it. Drops him down to 2 HE rounds left. He then calls in mines. Now he called on the front edge of the town, but they scattered back, landed on the T-80s. Second scatter roll landed. So he places the minefield there, not bad. And One of the T-80s was disrupted, the other one was no effect. He's now down to one minefield salvo, and it's the Soviet Heinz. So these guys are spread out, but they're always in command. The Heinz with no ammo, NOEs around to the backside of that town, and the guy on the hill, NOEs down to the south. Alpha 5-8. He passes the reload check with his Stinger, and he moved the headquarters from the M2 over to the infantry. Lesson learned there. Now we have the T-80s, and it removes the end operations restrictions, so let's go back into the deck. All right, so the T-80s, they're all in command. So the first thing we're going to do is we place the Songster support weapon with the T-80 on the hill, and with the headquarters, he takes a long-range shot at the M901 and kills that, passes the ammo check. Then his normal weaponry fires at the Lush, killing that. And the T-80 on the hill, the reason why I went with this guy is he has the maximum defense I can get, because he gets one for the woods, one for the hill, to try to mitigate the op fire from that Leopard. And it worked. I mean, the +1 for the hill, +1 for the woods gives him the most defensive dice he can get. And the Leopard has to take the shot because he can't risk being disrupted by the return fire. He wasn't, but he can't risk it. So now T-80 does a moving fire and gets op fired from the Jaguar, which disrupts it. So the T-80 does a moving fire action. He gets op fired by the Jagdpanzer, which is no effect. He then fires at the Leopard 2, disrupting it. Next, T-80 moves up, does a moving fire, no effect on the Leopard. Another T-80 comes up, moving fire, he reduces the Leopard. Next moving fire has no effect. Next moving fire has no effect. And literally the last guy that I had to move that could see him kills him with a moving fire. And the end operations ends the turn. So moving to turn 7, one objective is Warsaw Pact. Here's the state of the board at the start of turn 7 with the icons and without. And the East German air support is pulled from the deck because it aborted. Start out with an end operations, of course. And now we get Alpha 5-8. US stays with the infantry, everybody's in command range. It was set. The Soviet Heinz get a turn. Always in command. So the Heinz hovers, receives op fire from the M48 for no effect, and then shoots the infantry with his cannon, killing it. The second Heinz NOEs back behind those woods. At the time, I was thinking I really want to get a shot at those mortars, but we'll see how that works out. F Troop, headquarters with the M1, command's not a problem for them. M1 moves south. One of the Bradley Cav vehicles moves south. Bravo 3-8. Headquarters goes with the infantry. And that guy moves to the south edge of those woods, making the Hind that I just moved in a very precarious spot, because if I hover, I know that company has stingers. So that could be problematic. Calls in indirect fire from his mortars on the T-80 for no effect. And we're at Bravo 469. Everybody's in command. That M60 was in the open, goes to the back edge of the woods. Now we have the East German motorized rifles. Did not pull the disruption off. Failed command check up north. And now that T-55 is coming into play because it's let me get some of those guys in the back in command. So the first thing we're going to do is indirect fire with our 2S1, but we failed the spotter check, so the rounds never showed up. And changed my mind because of the minefield. I had to change my mind with the infantry to the south. Probably just going to take the infantry, or at least the plan is, just run them up and let the infantry start walking in the minefields to clear them. Very Russian. Up north, took the T-55s, captured objective A, took that back. BMP moved him up and started consolidating the center a little bit, getting everybody out of those vehicles. Now for the T-72s. Headquarters goes in the center past the disruption removal. Of course, 3 of the guys up north failed their command check. The headquarters, the T-72 with the headquarters takes a non-moving fire at the M48 for no effect. And then here starts a series of moving and fire. First guy disrupts it. Next guy reduces it. And the third guy kills it. And then the rest of the battalion, some administrative moves, get people forward. T-72s again. So headquarters there with the T-72, 3 command checks up north. It started to be a pattern. And this time we're just kind of spread that battalion across that center hill, getting ready to go down and get the party started in the center. US A-10 gets drawn but was intercepted on the way in, so it's out of the game. And now the T-80s get activated. So it did not remove the disruption. Bunch of firing there for the south. These are non-moving fires. One guy shoots at the Jagdpanzer disrupting it. 2 of them shot at the Jaguar, whatever. And first one disrupted, reduced it. Second one killed it and then suppressed the headquarters. And the remaining guys move up to the north, swapping around on the hill to get the songster where I wanted it. Next we get Alpha 5-8. Headquarters stays with the infantry, and I think they're set. Territorials go. So he keeps his headquarters with the Jeep, but the guys up north pass their command check. Calls in offboard HE. The first one comes in, disrupts one of the T-80s, but no effect on the second one. And he's down to 1 HE round. Second one comes in, it scatters. The second roll scatters again and lands on that T-80. It does 2 hits, disrupts and reduces it. Nice scatter. He is now out of HE. The 106 fires at the disrupted T-80 for no effect. And the second in operations ends the turn, strands the air cav and the West German Panzer Company. So 2 objectives are now NATO. The Soviet Su-25 enters the game. And here we are at the start of turn 8. And the south is wide open. Here it is without the icons. Air support added to the deck. F troop goes first. Headquarters goes to the. He starts moving them around. They've got to cover objective C. And the Bradley comes around. Now we get Alpha 5-8. Headquarters stays with the infantry. I think they're set. Territorials. Passes his command check. Jeep stays with the headquarters stays with the Jeep. It's actually a Munga or whatever, and I have the figures for it, but I can't fit it on the label, so I call it a Jeep. So the Jeep moves into the town, and the Rhine op fires it for no effect. Now we get Bravo 3-8. Headquarters stays with the M1. Or, I'm sorry, moves to the M1. It was with the infantry. So he calls in his MLRS, and it's scattered, and then scattered again. And my my opponent was disgusted. But when it came in, it did some damage. So he disrupted and reduced the one T-72 that it hit. But oh my God, that would have been bad in the middle of all those tanks. And no more MLRS ammo. So he calls in off-board indirect fire again. Hits the T-80, disrupting it. It's down to 2 HE rounds. The M1 takes a shot, reduces the disrupted T-80. And now we're to the T-72s. So this is a bad place to put the headquarters from a command standpoint, but we now have targets and stationary fire. So I wanted to get as much dice as I could. So we're in a firefight down here. So 5 failed command checks, but we didn't remove 1 disruption. And then all 3 of the T-72s take a shot at the M60, and nobody did anything. All 3 no effects. Call in the 2S1, and they disrupted. The indirect fire disrupted the M60. Then we go to Alpha 5-8. Headquarters stays with the infantry. I think they're set. East German T-72s go again. Those guys they're the stars of the show so far. Decide to move the headquarters up, get everybody in command. Now the fire is a little more effectual. So 272 of the T-72s fire at the M60s. One of them was no effect, but the second one killed it and suppressed the headquarters. The other guy fired at the M1 for no effect. And then we'll do a series of moving fires. So the first moving fire comes up, draws out fire from the M901, which was no effect. He then fires at the reduced M60, disrupting it. Next guy moves up, kills the M60. Headquarters of the T-72 moves down to the woods, draws op fire from the Mortar, which was indirect op fire, which was excellent move, and disrupts it. A freaking Mortar. Disrupted the T-72 with the headquarters. The reduced T-72 comes up, takes a moving fire shot at the M901, no effect. And here's where the disruption matters, because now instead of my headquarters calling in the smoke, I have to call it in from T-72, and spotting on a 6 on 2 dice is not very effective, and I didn't get the smoke there. So way to go, Mortar. You did a good job, brother. Now we get the Hines. Easy command phase. First guy takes a shot with his guns at the Jeep, and no effect. The other guy NOE's up. Now he's going to get into point blank range. Now we get the Soviet air support. So the Su-25 comes in. He's not intercepted. He goes after the M1 for the armored cav, and the Stinger fires at the Su-25. He passes ammo check, but no effect. And the Su-25 hits the M1, disrupts it, and passes his ordnance check, so he can come back. Now we get Bravo 3-8. Headquarters with the M1. Everybody's in command. So he calls off-board indirect fire in on the T-72 for no effect. He's down to 1 HE. He calls that one in on the T-72. He reduces it and reduces the headquarters. but now he's out of HE. He then fires at the T-72, kills it, suppresses the headquarters, and sets the woods on fire. The mortar then indirect fires on the Deuce T-72, disrupting it. Now the Dragon and the M901 both shoot at the disrupted and reduced T-72, but neither one do any damage, and they both pass their ammo check. Now we're at Bravo 6-9. So because his headquarters is suppressed, every unit has to take the one remaining unit has to take a command check, and he failed it. So he's not going to be doing anything this round. Now we have the Hinds. Command phase. First guy fires at the 106, no effect. Second guy hovers, fires at the 106, kills it, and suppresses the headquarters. Now we're at the U.S. Air Cav. So the one that was reloading fails his reload check, so he has one missile shot left. So they both fire at the T-72 on the hill. First one disrupted and reduced it. The second one killed it. One of them passes ammo check. The other one is out of missile ammo. And now we have Bravo 6-9. So his headquarters still suppressed, but he passed his command check. So we move back into those woods, cover objective Charlie. West Germans go, and that removes the end operation restriction. So he's down to all he has left in that company is the Jagdpanzer. And I think he didn't want to lose the headquarters and lose the mine, so he decided to pull that guy out of the line of fire, which is very wise. Then we get an end operations, and then another end operations, which strands the East German motorized rifles and the T-80s. So we move to turn 9. 2 objectives are in control of Warsaw. Here's a look at the board at the start of turn 9, and without the icons. At this point, the NATO commander had enough and issued a general order for all of the remaining NATO forces to withdraw to the northwest, and we called it right here. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them below. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.